Hello everyone and welcome to an introduction to neuroscience. So what is neuroscience? Neuroscience is a scientific study of the nervous system. Also, what is cognitive neuroscience? Cognitive neuroscience is the scientific principle of understanding the biological basis of cognition, and cognition is thinking. Now I will go over a brief history of cognitive neuroscience and neuroscience. Egyptians used to throw away the brain during the mummification process as they thought it was useless. They were wrong, but they kept other vital organs, or organs that they thought were vital. One of the first neuroscientists was Vesalius, and began to direct attention towards the solid part of the brain. One of the other first neuroscientists was Descartes. He discovered that the brain affects the body through mechanical processes. Around about the 18th century, the brain was recognized as being necessary for cognition. Gall and Spurzheim described how different skull shapes determined different personalities and mental abilities. Localization of function is the principle that different brain functions such as memory, vision, etc. An alternative to this is mass action, where there is no centers, so there is no localization. This was soon disproven. In the 19th century, there was a new method that revolved around looking at consequent damage to part of the brain. A French physiologist, Florent, used pigeons and dogs to demonstrate this. He showed that damage to the cerebellum caused movement dysfunctioning, but did not affect Gall's phrenological function of this area, which was sexual arousal. Highly recommended reading is The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks, which I am currently reading. In the late 19th century, research established the locations of three functions in the brain: motor, vision, and speech. Neurologist Hewlings-Jackson discovered that certain seizures that started within the fingers would spread along the arms and towards the body, which ended with a loss of consciousness. This led to the conclusion that motor control is a function that can be localized to a certain part in the brain. Another method that was used is neurophysiology. Fritz and Hirschig electrically stimulated the frontal part of a dog's brain and produced movement in the opposite side of the body, but stimulating other parts did not. Movement can therefore be localized to the frontal part of the brain. There are specific parts of the brain that control voluntary movement. This in itself is called the motor homunculus. Visual perception or vision can be localized to the occipital lobe. This was Ferreira, Monk, and Schaefer. Neuropsychology investigations show that damage to the left side of the brain was associated with speech impairment and lack of production of speech, specifically the left frontal area, also known as Broca's area. This first video was a little bit confusing, for me at least. I'm not sure about you. I hope you understand. I covered the basic history of neuroscience, and in the next video I will be discussing brain anatomy. Look forward to it. It will be easier to understand, I promise. And use. Delivery! A French physiologist A French physiologist, Fritz and Hirschig, electrically stimulated the front part of the brain. Fritz and Hitzig, specifically the left frontal area, also known as Broca's area.